this mic. So, Om Shri Sai Ram. Offering my most humble pranams at the lotus feet of beloved Bhagwan. Dear panel members, whom I have not yet introduced. Dear brothers and sisters, respected elders. You know, April 24th, 2011 was a kind of a turning point. You know, everything that we speak of the times before April 24th, 2011 and then after April 24th, 2011. So, on April 24th, 2011 definitely was the day when all of us were affected to different extents. So when I look at my own story, it was devastating for me. I felt there's no need to do anything else. What else is there in life to live for? That kind of sorrow, immense sadness. In fact, I remember 1 year later, when the first ever Aradhana Mahotsavam was being celebrated, I wondered, what is this Aradhana about? What is this Mahotsavam about? You know, I felt it was a cruel joke. Mahotsavam means the grand celebration. What are we grandly celebrating? This was my thought. And I had my duty to perform in the Sai Kulwant Hall, so I went there. I had to shoot. I was behind the camera. But that day when I returned home, it was the most beautiful surprise, because for the first time ever in my life, I was experiencing it, where 3 different photographs of Swami at home that we had put up, one in the hall, one in each of the rooms, and all of them Vibhuti had come, you know. It was there, Vibhuti was there, and I was so thrilled. This was like we hear, you know, we hear of people getting cured of cancer, but when it happens to you, it's amazing. We hear of Vibhuti coming in people's homes, but when it comes in your home, it's amazing. 10 kilograms of Vibhuti may come in your neighbor's home, but when you get 1 pinch in your home, no, that feels so amazing and great. That's what it is. Because it's the personal experience that matters, and it just thrilled me so much. Not just on the photographs, Vibhuti had even come on the upma and in the water that we had offered to Swami. So it felt very thrilling. And for me, it felt like Swami saying, today is a Mahotsavam. It is a grand celebration day. Why? Because today is the day I have chosen to move from Yajur Mandir, which was his residence, to Hriday Mandir, which is the residence in every heart. And that is the reason we celebrate Aradhana Day, because it is the day when we recognize his presence in our own hearts. So I was very happy that, yay, you know what? Just with the body going, Swami connecting with us doesn't end, because Swami can reach out to us. But then comes the question. Swami reaching out to us is very easy. It's possible. He will do it. But how do I reach out to him? How do I connect to him? Because back then in those days, book a ticket, go sit there, try to give a letter, try to get an interview. This was the way I would try to connect with him. So, with that incident, while it got proved to me that Swami's connection to me has not ended, because he can connect whenever he wants. He can make Vibhuti appear in my home, he can play, he can do whatever he wants. But what do I do to connect to him? I think this is a very, very important theme and important question for us to ponder on this beautiful Guru Poornima day. How do I connect to my Guru? How do I connect to my Lord? And it is more apt that the young generation, who possibly have not experienced as much the physical form. So while they would have experienced Swami's omnipresence through his own ways, the physical form is not much experience, and therefore I was very, very eager and keen to know, how is it that we connect to Swami? How is it that we interact with Swami on a daily basis, with our Guru, with our Lord, and with our Master? And to enlighten us, and to entertain us, and to thrill us, and fill our hearts with love for Swami, we have a wonderful and beautiful panel, starting with Brother Mayur, yes, then Sister Shiny, then Sister Madhuri, Sister Janki, Sister Shalani, and Sister Hanita. Can we give a round of heartfelt applause for this wonderful team? This panel discussion is happening live in front of us, but I'm sure they would have enjoyed many, many panel discussions behind the scenes, where they had lovely satsangs for the past 1 week. So what we hear today is a culmination of their thoughts, their discussions, and I'm supposed to be a moderator. I'm not going to moderate anything. You please pour out your heart and let's enjoy. And to start off with, you know, I know you by names and I know you briefly, but it will be nice if you can, before you start sharing your thoughts, you can possibly share a brief introduction of yourself in whatever way you can, so that those who are not aware get to know you, and then share your thoughts. And praying to Swami for a heartfelt and lovely panel discussion. And as I said, the opening question that I throw to all of you is, how do you connect to Swami? How do you interact with him on a daily basis? What do you do? Because when Swami wants to reach out to you, he will definitely. What do you do when you want to reach out to Swami? So let's start off with Brother Mayur.
Jai Saram, everyone. So yeah, my name's Mayur. I'm one of the young adults from Pinasai Center and SSSIO UK. Today we're going to be talking about connecting with God and hopefully get some practical tips about how we can do that on a daily basis. Keep remembering him throughout the day. Because life, it keeps distracting us. Our mind jumps from one thing to another all the time. So it's very easy to forget to connect with him. So some easy tips hopefully we'll go through today, what we can do on a daily basis to always remember him. So for me, I'll start off, I'll say using pictures is a very easy thing to do. I'm a very simple man. As a job, I'm a dentist. I've been coming to Sai Center my whole life, thankfully. Been born into a Sai family. My mother and father, they brought me up in Sai values, and I'm very lucky in that sense. There's not much more to me. But yeah, in terms of connecting with God, connecting with Baba, I think using pictures is a very easy tool we can all do. Brother was Baba's photographer. We're very lucky he's blessed us with many photos that we can use. I learned this idea from my grandma in New Zealand. She, right next to her bed, on her wall, she has God's picture right there. So every day when she wakes up, she sees God first thing in the morning. She can say, thank you, God, for getting me through the night. When she goes to sleep at night, she says, thank you for the day. Thank you for guiding me throughout the day. And that's just a really nice way to start the day. Whatever you start the day with stays in your mind for the whole day. So that's one little tip. At the beginning of the day, you can do that. Rest of the day, we're normally at work. We spend so much time at work. A lot of source of our stress and problems is at work sometimes. So keeping a little picture there of Baba, we can talk to him throughout the day. Baba, I tried my best. It's still not working. Please, you sort out the rest now. And he'll take care of it for you. I've done this many times where I take out teeth almost every day. Sometimes very easy, 5 minutes the tooth comes out. Sometimes I can take almost an hour. I can't get the tooth out. Put all my force in, still doesn't come out. It's those times I remember God. And it's like I've got an extra hand almost helping me, you know? It just comes out straight away. Really, we should be better than that. We should think of him during the good times as well, not just when we have problems. Sant Kabir, I think he said, everyone remembers God in the bad times. No one remembers God in the good times. But if you remember him in the good times, then you'll never have any bad times. You know. So we should also remember him in good times. But it's never a bad time to remember God. If you remember him at the bad times, that's fine. So yeah, using pictures helps. The next thing I do is I try to find metaphors in life. So for example, again, I'm a dentist, so I see so many teeth every day. Hundreds of teeth I see every day. And I clean all these hundreds of teeth every day. And I don't know when I thought of this, maybe a few years ago I thought, teeth are like little stones, mineral, you know? They're made of mineral. So is a Shivlingam. It's made of stone. It's like in the mouth you got all these little lingams I could be thinking about all day. Every time I wash it, it's like Abhishekam. I'm bathing the lingam. Om Namah Shivaya, Om Namah Shivaya. No? Yeah, no problem.
There is an audience watching also, so let's speak loud that not just the panel hears, but the audience also hears. Yeah.
Sorry. So yeah, I was saying there's lots of metaphors in life that are available to us. You know, no matter what your job is, whatever your career is. For me, I see all these teeth every day, hundreds and hundreds of teeth. I clean all these people's teeth, and I think of them as little lingams in people's mouth. I wash it, I bathe it with water. Om Namah Shivaya, Om Namah Shivaya, Om Namah Shivaya, all the way around. You can find similar things in your life. Something mundane you can turn into something very transformative in life. Again, at work, people come in pain. They've got these rotten teeth. You can pray to God. Guru means the remover of ignorance, remover of darkness. This is a pain. It's caused by rotten tooth, but in real life, we cause pain from our bad characteristics. You can say to Baba, please remove the characteristics from me. You know, same kind of thing. If you like gardening, you take out the weeds, you cultivate the good plants. Take out the bad and cultivate the good characteristics in you. So try to find these little metaphors in life. Try to make the mundane things spiritual and important to you. Finally, I think media plays a big role in our lives these days. We can easily spend hours and hours on TikTok, Instagram, YouTube, Facebook, all these things. If we spend just 10 minutes every day instead reading some of Baba's books. I hate reading, I'll be honest with you, I find it very boring, I get sleepy. But even if you read just a little bit, find one that connects with you. And these days it's so easy, so many of Baba's books are now audiobooks. You can listen to it instead while you do your exercise or something like that. Or find one that really connects to you. Bro.Aravinth and Prem did a beautiful satsang on Ramayan, Ramkatha Rasavahini, on Radio Sai. If you ever get a chance, please listen. They turned it completely alive. It's like you're in the Ramayana, you can feel every scene. Find one that you really like. I like Sri Sai Satcharitra. I've had some experiences of that, Shirdi Baba's book. Even if you just read a little bit every day, it makes a big difference. If you make the home page on your phone, if you make the home page the thought for the day, every time you turn your phone on, the thought for the day will be there. That thought will be in mind for the rest of the day. And obviously, Bro.Aravinth has a beautiful YouTube channel. Use social media for good things. You can cater your social media experience.
I've not told anybody to advertise for me.
Everyone, please subscribe. Please subscribe. He's got a beautiful channel. Please do listen. So yeah, that's my few tips really. Using Baba's pictures. Wherever you go, you'll see him, talk to him, ask him to look after you, help you with your problems. Second tip, use metaphors. Try to make your mundane tasks spiritual. It makes life much more enjoyable that way. And thirdly, cater your media experiences so that you're consuming good things. Because as they say, what you eat is what you are sometimes. So this is also consuming. So yeah, that's a few things. I'll hand over to Shainika then. I think she'll carry on the discussion.
Sairam, that's better. Sairam everyone, my name is Shainika, I'm 22 years old. I'm one of the young adults at SSSIO UK. Currently, I work in financial recruitment and I also tutor, but I'm pursuing my master's at UCL. And I've got a 6-week placement in the UN in December, which is pretty exciting. Thank you. And one thing that I do to connect with God is through physical health. I love going to the gym, so I know Baba says that your body is a temple. So maintaining it physically, but also mentally and spiritually. But in terms of physical health, taking care of yourself, not just for aesthetic purposes, but also for health, which is really important. Nowadays, instead of putting junk in your body and putting crisps, burgers, I try to eat more healthier because, you are what you eat. I'm not a pizza, but I'm just saying you are what you eat. And another thing that's really important, especially in our generation, is the company you keep, especially during university and things. And there's things like peer pressure, especially amongst young adults. So I think it's really important in your daily life to connect with God is keeping good company. And that good company can obviously help you making good decisions and leading a better life as well. And leading on from what Mayur said in terms of, pictures and things like that. So personally, when I pray, sometimes I don't specifically say certain prayers. I do say the Gayatri Mantra, but also just having a conversation with God. Like praying doesn't have to be a certain way. It's different for everyone. So like Brother Mayo said, he uses pictures. For me, praying is just like a conversation with God. I find it easier to connect in that way. Even though as a young age, I was brought up by my parents to say specific prayers and, stand in front of the altar, but it doesn't always have to be like that. Sometimes even during the day, when you're driving to work, when you're on the train, when you're at the gym, just having a conversation with God is genuinely the easiest way to connect. You don't need to sit down in front of Sai Baba. But for me, also pictures do help to maintain that focus, but the main way I connect with God is literally just by having a conversation. So, yeah.
So, before we proceed to the next, I had a couple of thoughts and questions, Like you said, prayer is not about chanting something, it's having a conversation with God. I'm curious to know how you have your conversation, because a conversation is defined as two people speaking, right? So you can speak, I understand. So how do you make, how does Swami speak? I'm very curious to know. In your conversation, is it two-sided or is it one-sided? Yeah.
So I think me and sister has something to say. I just think that he's listening. He's listening to me, and I'm just pouring my heart out. It doesn't necessarily mean I need a response, or even in my daily life, like, if I'm having a bad day at work and I'm just praying to God and something good happens, that's his way of showing, look, things are going to be okay. So it can also just be in things like signs during the day, but it doesn't necessarily, like, you don't hear a voice. Personally, I don't, but it's just the fact that Sai is listening, and that's what I seek comfort in. And I know you wanted to add something.
Wonderful. Just one more thought. I just wanted to add that part of this conversation happening, it is so true, as I narrated in the morning itself. You ask something through the book, that thing that comes, so Swami has his own way of conversing, and I really agree that a conversation is where we speak and we pour our heart out. Swami will respond. And when you were speaking of photos, I was reminded, there was one classmate of mine, I won't name him, but he used to get interviews with Bhagwan. And on one occasion, he had gone to his grandmother's house, which was inside Prasanthi Nilayam. And there he put on the television and he was watching, right? So that day when Swami called him for the interview, Swami started telling him what all he was watching. And he was, oh God, okay, And then Swami told him, you forgot, I was there right behind you. And he was thinking, where was Swami right behind me? And Swami said, that photograph on the wall, I'm watching. So that evening he again went to his grandmother's house, again began to watch the television, but this time he took down the calendar, rolled it and kept it inside. But I found it very sweet because he was so convinced that, hey, this Swami is watching me from the calendar. So, yeah, definitely a photograph is a wonderful way to connect. Please, Sister Madhuri. Yeah.
Saram everyone, I am Madhuri and I'm from Cambridge, and it's very nice here to be at the Pinner Sai Center. So, first of all, I'll start off with how I connect to Swami, and that'll kind of segue into how I feel Swami connects with me. So I think growing up, I think bhajan has been a big part of my life. My parents used to drag me to bhajans 4 times a week. My father had to bribe me with like a packet of crisps so that, I will come to bhajan. So the first speed I used to eat slowly, second speed a lot more. And probably that's why today I like third speed bhajans more. So bhajans has always been a way of me connecting to him. And as a kid, I never understood the meaning of bhajan, of what I was singing, but I used to make up my own meaning in my mind, and that was one way to connect with him. But as I grew a little elder, or a little older, I think thinking of the memories of Swami that I had as a kid, whether I was a Bal Vikas child and got to perform in front of him, or just having like his darshan, and thinking of the days that I had this darshan, and just the power of visualization is so strong that when you think Swami is near you, you can actually feel that he is with you. And then coming to a next step, I always felt, we have a lot of conundrums throughout the day. Sometimes even with Swami's teachings, like sometimes he says, avoid bad company. Sometimes he says, but everyone is God. See God in everyone. So sometimes we suffer from the dichotomy, which is right and wrong. And throughout my adult life, the way I have been able to have a conversation with him is through the power of letter writing. So as a small child, I think someone was going to Parthi and my mom was literally dictating the letter to me because I didn't know what to talk to Swami. But I think that also kind of set the foundation for me to have a very casual connection with Swami. So if I'm cooking at home and in my head I'm cracking a joke, I'll be like, Swami, I hope you're laughing. That was an awesome joke, but there was no one around other than you to actually enjoy the joke. And overall, in my adult life, I've used the power of letter writing, and I've noticed that every time I sit with this muddle of thoughts in my head, as soon as I sit down to write the letter, and as each paragraph is going, sometimes it's really long because I have too much to share with him. As I keep writing, I always realize at each step there's a certain clarity that comes in. And I've realized letter writing helps me to focus everything, but it's also Swami's way of telling, okay, I am teaching you this at this stage. And sometimes he takes a little extra time, but I've always noticed every time I write a letter and offer it to Swami, he always responds in his own sweet way. So, and I take the little signs that sister was saying, I take it as little signs that Swami is telling me, okay, do this. This is the right thing for you to do at this stage in your life. So, thought I'll share this with all of you.
Saram, everyone. My name is Janki. I'm a solicitor working in London, and I've been part of Pinasai Centre since I was a toddler, so a lot of you recognize me. So the way I connect with Swami, there are two main things that I wanted to share. One is, as is probably the case for many of you, I spend a lot of my day commuting, so I use that time to connect. I've tried various things. I've tried meditating on the tube. Doesn't work so well. But more recently, I've been listening to podcasts. Now, it wasn't until actually I had this one of our pre-discussions with our brothers and sisters that I realized there was a Sai podcast. So I haven't been listening to Sai podcasts, but I listen to other podcasts where people from different walks of life are interviewed. So these could be people from different religious backgrounds, you know, a Christian nun, or it could be people who've suffered particular hardships in their life and they've overcome them. And those I find very interesting and very inspiring. And what I've learned from those is actually universal truths are universal truths. So the things that they share in terms of what has helped them in their life has really rung true and has really resonated with me, because it's very similar to Swami's teachings that I've grown up with. So things like you know, good company, self-confidence, dedication, commitment, things like that are all of the things that everybody advocates. And so even though these people may not know of Swami from completely different backgrounds, I've actually been able to draw similarities between what they say and Swami's teachings, and that's definitely brought me closer to him. The second thing I do, and this is an ongoing thing, is I'm on a constant search for three things. One is grace, the other is gratitude, and the other one is peace. So grace, I've realized that actually it's all around us. It can be in completely different forms. It can be very little things, like on a very hot day, feeling the warmth of the sun on your skin, or actually if it's very hot, the cool breeze. For me, I kind of see that as grace. It could be big things, you know, if you see somebody doing something very compassionate either for you or someone else, I also see that as grace. Secondly, gratitude. So it can be gratitude for those things that you see, all of those graceful moments, but also when you're dealing with a particular challenge. I found that, you know, if you're going into work, think, how am I going to get through this day? I just take a few minutes to thank Swami for, 3-5 things that I'm grateful for. And that really helps to kind of refocus my mind, and it gives me the strength to get through the day, really. And then peace. I think we all live incredibly busy lives. Peace can be hard to come by, but I try every day to find a few minutes of peace. That can be, the meditation on the tube, which, as I've said, doesn't work so well, or it can be just closing your eyes for a few minutes in the middle of the day, in the morning, or in the evening before you go to sleep, just to kind of take stock, be grateful, and come into yourself again. And I find that the more peace I'm able to bring into my life, those moments of focus, the more likely I am to be able to pick up on those moments of gratitude and grace throughout the day. So those were the two things that I wanted to share.
Beautiful. Thank you.
Salam everyone, I'm Shalini. Born and bred in Malaysia. I grew up in Sydney half of my life as well, and I moved to the UK 7 years ago. Very blessed to be born into a Sai family, and so like Brother Aravinth said, like we are the free devotees of Swami, who never questioned about Swami's existence at all to date. How I connect with Swami is two ways. So when I was 12 years old, I used to be a very average student. So in that year, we had a very important exam, which will actually determine whether I go to the next stage in my schooling life. So I didn't want to study, didn't want to prepare for the exams. I was just throwing tantrums, not because I was naughty, it's just that studies was not like a big thing for me at that point of time. So my mom got really frustrated. She didn't know what to do with me. So she just brought me to the altar at home, and she gave me this japamala, and she told me about Gayatri Mantra and the importance of it. And the one promise I did to Swami was, I'm going to do this Gayatri chanting 27 times every day, only for my mom and for you. So rest, you're going to take care of it. And till today, I still do it. I go for very important meetings. I still chant my Gayatri, and I just feel like it has always calmed my mind down. And I'm like ever ready to take on anything that comes my way. So, and I also like bring Swami wherever I go. Like he's like walking beside me. I talk to him. I'm like, you have to come. Like, you know, this. So I'm an auditor by profession. So we do have very you know, clients who are quite nasty as well. So that everybody is nice. So I'm like, I'll tell Swami, like, you know what, this client, you have to deal with this client today. So come with me, you know, talk through me to them. And so much so, you know, when I come out from those meetings, I just feel calm, you know, we get positive results. So that's how I've been connecting with Swami in terms of work and prayers. Another thing that I do is every day, no matter how late or how early I come back home, I make sure 1 hour before I go back to bed, I spend it for Swami's work. So I'm also part of the International Young Adults team. So what we do is weekly we publish a lot of either quotes or Swami's videos and stuffs like that. So like Brother Mayur said, I do not like to read discourses or Swami's books. I like listening to his discourses. So this 1 hour is where I kind of do my research and research for the young adults, but it's also a time for me to learn about Swami and, you know, just dedicate my 1 hour just for him, no matter how busy or how tired I am. So that's how I kind of connect to Swami.
Superb. And what I find amazing is that, yeah, I'm sorry I interrupted the applause. You can applaud once. Yeah. No, that commitment to give 1 hour, I think that's amazing, because to do it once is okay, to do it twice is okay, but to do on a daily basis, it's really wonderful. It's not easy. It might seem easy, and you get the josh. Maybe after today, everybody will, yeah, 1 hour I'm going to give for Swami, but 1 week later, that josh just dries up. So to be able to keep that josh is great. If I can give one suggestion as an elder brother, don't give up on Swami's discourse. Just read it, because I am telling you, many times I have read and I've gone to sleep. It is something that grows on you, because we are not at a level where we are able to appreciate it. And Swami, I don't know, fortunately or unfortunately, doesn't look to entertain. He's giving you the truth, because he's very serious about our evolution. So unlike all of other speakers who will put in entertainment to increase the viewability, likability value of it, Swami just gives the truth. So what I used to find it is, every night I would listen, not even read, listen also, because apart from getting the message, you're even hearing the divine voice. So I used to think, Swami, I have seen, you know, on one occasion, Russian devotees would be sitting in Kulwant Hall, and Swami will be speaking. Those people don't understand English, they don't understand Telugu, and yet in rapt attention. So one day I caught a Russian and I asked, what do you do during a discourse, man? Like, you don't understand Telugu, you don't even understand English. No, Swami sound, vibration, Swami vibration. Bless, he's not able even able to communicate to me, but what I could understand is he's telling Swami's sound is vibration. It's like Om. Om, I don't know the meaning, but Om is a vibration. Swami's voice is a vibration. And on that is when I felt that this is something phenomenal. So even though I put the earphones and I'm dozing off, I just feel the vibrations are going in, and they make some amazing change. I have noticed it. So please, I think we should though it sometimes feels boring or sometimes it feels above the head, I don't understand. Just keep doing it. And like how we learned cycling, right? We keep falling and suddenly one day we have balance. And once we get that balance, lifelong that balance is there. Same thing happens with Swami's teachings. We just read and it feels like something. Suddenly one day that enlightening moment happens. So I would just like to add that you include maybe in that 1 hour, 15 minutes of Swami's discourse. Just take 15 minutes, read it or hear it. I think that will be wonderful. Thank you so much.
Saram everyone over there and over there. It's always the worst to go last, but here I am. My name's Hanita. I'm 35 years old, so I've been part of the young adults for a while now. I have been so fortunate to have been on pilgrimages, on several training programs offered by the organization, the International Veda Training Program, the SSEHV teacher training. I've gained so much from this organization, and I was a student, SSE student here at Pinasai Center. I have all my elders to thank for really who I am today. I honestly think I can't function without the 5 human values. They just imbibe everything that I do. I can't think without what I've learned here. So that's my relationship to Sai. So what I practice at the moment to connect with Swami is 2 things mainly. So meditation, and I do 3 types of meditation, and the other is kirtan and nam smaran. So with meditation, the first one I do is Jyoti meditation as prescribed by Swami. That moment where you visualize a lotus flower in your heart opening, I can just feel that, and it just transforms me. It transforms my day. All that nonsense and chatter that I've had in the morning up until getting to work, it all disappears when I do that meditation. The second meditation I do is mantra meditation. So I'm not quite there with doing it every day, but twice a week I do that. I've just discovered somewhere opposite my workplace, and it has a meditation room. So I've been trying to go there at lunchtime on a Wednesday, and I just sit there for 10 to 20 minutes and do mantra meditation. And then the third meditation I do is the Phyllis Crystal method. It's, I don't know if anybody knows, but it's the maple meditation. That's the one I connect to most. And you visualize ribbons and holding a ribbon in your hand, and you receive healing energy, unconditional love energy, and then you send it out to the world. That's really just transformed my being. I've been able to, sometimes you can put forth a question to Swami, and sometimes he'll answer it straight away, sometimes he'll answer it when it's the time to receive that answer. But those are the 3 types of meditation I do. And then, so I also have a lot of Sai friends over time, and we sometimes, instead of going to the club, we'll go to Kirtan. So there's a place in London called Kirtan London. Sometimes we have Kirtan in the park, and then sometimes it's in this wellness place called Omnom. So, sometimes that's my ideal New Year's, doing Kirtan.
Wow.
And then I suppose the other thing, Nam Smaran, 2 things. So when I get up in the morning, I do have rosary beads next to my bedside cabinet, and that's the first thing I will do. But even just anything that you're doing when you're walking along the street, you just chant the name. Something, I don't know if I should share this, but even when I'm getting my eyebrows done, I'm just like, Om Sai Ram, Om Sai Ram, Om Sai Ram. So Swami is just part of everything and anything that I do.
That's just so amazing. I remember in one discourse, Swami was saying, people don't feel shy to sing out movie songs. People don't feel shy to move their body to the songs of a movie and go around. Why do you feel shy to sing bhajan? Sing it out loud. I'm sure Sister Hanita Swami will be so proud of you, so happy with you, because I have seen it many times that though we all feel like doing Namasmaran or chanting his name or singing his bhajan, we're very shy that somebody else should not hear, somebody else should not listen. I myself find it so tough. I understand how challenging it is, because you just feel, oh, what will they think? We are so concerned about what others will think. But Swami would say, you just sing it aloud. Even if they don't like it, without them knowing, God's name is falling on their ears. So it's great. You know, I used to, when I heard all this, that's when I decided, Swami, wherever I go, I'll try to put a vibhuti. In my phone, I will keep your photograph as my, display picture. Because somebody will see, whether they believe or not, you had darshan, man, you're blessed. You don't know. You don't understand you're blessed. This will pay its reward later on. So that is also a kind of seva. You know, singing a bhajan, She said about eyebrows. When I go for to my barber, I just keep singing some bhajan. He'll ask, what is this song you're singing? And this is a song on God. Oh, I said, you also learn it and sing. I'm telling you, you'll be a better barber next time. Something like that, just tell whether he takes it seriously or not. No, whether he knows it or not, his ears happen to listen to Swami's name. So I think that's wonderful. One round, I think all of you have shared your thoughts. So for this one round, we'll give one round of applause. Thank you so much. But what I feel is what you shared is more like, if I ask what do you do in terms of for health, you say that I do exercise, I do good diet. You're all talking of long term, how you connect to Swami. But what if there's an emergency? Like, you'll tell that I do exercise, I eat good food. This is the way I keep health. But suddenly if I'm hit by a truck, I rush to the ICU. So what is your it's not that everyone has to answer. Do you have any experience or something where you need Swami to answer right now? What do you do and how he has responded? If there's anything any of you would like to share.
Yeah, I'd actually like to share an experience that I've had. Some of you may know when I was 11, I was in hospital for like 2 months. They suspected it was something called Kawasaki disease. Turns out it was Stephen Johnson's. So I had all these Imperial College students like looking at me and trying to figure out what it was. At one point, my parents thought I wasn't going to live because they did say like it doesn't look like she's going to get better. I missed a lot of school. I was 11, so I remember asking my dad. I looked at him and I was like, "Am I going to die?" And he started to like just shed in tears. It's easier to talk about now, but back then it wasn't. And I had an SSC teacher at the time, and he visited Prashanthi and he got me some samadhi flowers. And when you're 11, you're just like, oh, flowers. Like, I didn't really know the significance. And then he explained it to me like, these have been in front of God. They have healing powers, and you need to, have faith and believe. God's not going to let you down if you have faith. You're going to be healthy and you're going to be strong. And I'm sitting there on the bed like, what are you saying? Like, I feel like I do not feel healthy at all. But I laminated those flowers. So my dad did it for me, brought it to the hospital. And I used to keep it under my pillow. And I wrote a little note on it. It was something like, Sairam, please get me better, or something like that. Laminated it, put it under my pillow. I can see my mom smiling, I think she remembers. And every day, like, when my parents would come, we'd just pray. And, like, at that age, I genuinely thought, like, God is with me. God is with me. God is under my pillow. He's going to get me better. Within about 3-4 weeks, when they finally told me, they found out that it was Stephen Johnson syndrome. I had a penicillin allergy. They figured out what it was. That was good news, because for like a month or 2 months, we didn't even know what it was. And then, I started to get better, was on medication, eating better, because I didn't eat properly for like a month. It was all liquidated foods. I personally believe that is the power of God, because at that point, as soon as I got those petals and I started to pray myself, and I actually had faith, I got better. And I remember even during that time, a lot of people from the Sai family were visiting me in hospital, and just the energy, and I was so happy to see them. I'm like, oh, like, they'd come with like sweets and things like that, and I was just like, oh my gosh. And just the love with the Sai family and the faith in God and praying, I genuinely feel at that point, I know you give the analogy of getting hit by a truck, but I got hit by a very big illness. So I think it's quite a similar situation. And in that situation, I just believe that you have to have faith. Because, life's not going to be easy, whether it's health or finances or anything in life. So it's not going to be easy. I think it's just about maintaining faith. Because at that point, I know a lot of people will be like, see, look, God isn't even real. There's suffering in the world. But that's not what you should think. You should think, you know what, this is just a test. And that's what helped me, and especially at that young age. And I'm kind of grateful, because I'm very grateful actually, because my grandpa as well always used to say to me, like, you're going to be fine. What? He didn't even cry, and I was like, well, not in front of me anyway. He was like, you're going to be fine. Don't worry about it. And I'm just like, but I feel so ill. And he was just like, look, God is with you. Nothing is going to happen. And at that point, I didn't believe him. But looking back at it now, like nearly 12 years later, I genuinely believe that if you have faith and like you're going through a bad time, whether it's sudden or not, like God has got you as long as your faith is genuine and you genuinely do pray and believe in Sai. So yeah, thank you.
I can quickly add something when it comes to faith and illness. So this happened a couple of years back, and I mean, in Balvikas, we had learned like Vibhuti is very strong. It has the potency to cure any ailment. Sometimes when, in my undergrad days, when I used to cook for my friends, I was always worried how it would taste. So I would put a pinch of Vibhuti and hope that it tastes good. But this particular incident happened, I would say around 8 or 9 years back. My grandfather, maternal grandfather, who I was very close to, he developed some kind of infection, and the doctors couldn't find out what it is. And after 3 days of trying, they were like, yeah, he has developed sepsis. So now's the time when you just call all your relatives, be as fast as possible. And by then he was already unconscious and on the ventilator. And it was just me and my mother. We were sitting in the hospital room. We used to go see him every day in the ICU. And I was like, no, I think he's going to live. And we used to take Vibhuti. So in the ICU, nothing is allowed. But I used to sneak in Vibhuti and just apply it on his hands and forehead, because he was a kind of person, he always had Vibhuti all over him. He was a very religious man. So it kind of felt very odd not seeing him have Vibhuti, especially when he was lying down. So I used to sneak it into the ICU and apply on him. And one of the days, and my mom was very scared to come into the ICU, so she used to send me. But the day the doctors came and told this, she wanted to see him. So I said, okay, come with me, you apply the Vibhuti. And she asked me just this question that, oh, will they allow Vibhuti? What will they say? And I was like, no, if we have faith in it, we should just go for it. And I've been sneaking it all these days and no one has told me anything. But she was also feeling very flustered because of the whole, the height of emergency of the situation. So I said, okay, before you go and see Grandpa, why don't you sit calmly? And we had the Tapovanam book. I said, just read 2-3 pages, calm yourself down, and then go see him. And she randomly opened a page, and the page spoke about the potency of Vibhuti and how it can cure any ailment, however chronic it might be. And yeah, of course, we called all the relatives in a rush, and suddenly my grandfather was perfectly all right. They were like, were you just lying to us? So that's one instance. And more recently, my mom developed cancer. And for about 3 weeks or so in April, we had this period where there was so much of unknowns in the air. And through all the sources, we were trying to get medical advice. And everyone was telling different things. And because they had to run a series of tests, her treatment or the onset of her treatment was getting delayed. And for us, it was like, okay, this is what Swami wants. This is what Swami wants. We'll take it one step at a time. And in the 3 weeks which we call our waiting period, there was Vibhuti coming from all over the world. There were people just coming and giving Vibhutis that Swami personally gave them in the 1980s, and they had kept it for themselves. They said, just take this Vibhuti. And for us and my family, before her treatment started, it was like, okay, before the real medicine start, Swami's Vibhuti has already come, she's already consumed, so he's going to take care of everything. So I think just as Sister Shiny said, having that faith, you could see the same Vibhuti as just a white powder, or you can see something that the divine himself has created just for you. So I just thought I'll quickly add to what Sister Shiny said.
Thank you, both of you. It's beautiful. I just didn't want to interrupt the flow, but one point that Sister Shiny said that I would like to magnify again was the fact that she said everyone in the Sai family came and so much love. See, even as I say this, I get emotional because there have been many instances where I must confess that, yeah, the love that I have received from what we say Sai family, right? it's been much, much, much more and overwhelming compared to our own blood family. That's how it has been. And Swami used to say that your true relations are the devotees of God. Devotees of God are your true relatives. Others are not. So in that sense, definitely this becomes a beautiful Sai family. And that's another thing we should be grateful to Sai for, that whether through the organization or the center or whatever, right? He has brought together a family. Let us think of these beautiful instruments who are there amidst us when we were in a financial crisis, whether, we possibly today we are well settled in London, but when we arrived to London, again it was somebody from the Sai family who helped us settle, whether it's financially, whether it's medically, whether it's for emotional support. So I thought that we should definitely express our gratitude to Swami for giving this beautiful family who share the same common bond, and it's much more selfless family because we are all united in the love for Swami. So thank you, Sister Shaina, for highlighting that point. And yeah, Sister Madhuri was telling about Vibhuti. I remembered how Swami had told Dr. Upadhyay, an ophthalmologist who has been doing a lot of medical camps. So on one, he had received multiple interviews. In one interview, he told Swami, we do eye camps everywhere, Swami, but people don't come like only with eye problems. Somebody just comes and tells some other problem. We are not able to help them because we don't have the expertise there. What should we do in such cases? Then Swami said, give them Vibhuti. Give them Vibhuti and send. Then he said, but Swami, they are not devotees. Then Swami said, listen, you are an ophthalmologist. If somebody comes to you with a kidney problem, what do you do? He said, Swami, I'll refer them to a kidney specialist because that's not my specialty. And Swami said, how do you do that? He said, Swami, I just write a referral note saying this person is this, so please. Swami said, remember, Vibhuti is your referral note to me. So it's not about whether they're devotee or not. Don't worry. That is your referral note to me. Once you do that, they're in my care, you don't worry. Swami has personally said this. So you need not even think whether it's a devotee or not. Vibhuti, yes, please go ahead and apply it. And I thank you for this because this is something that I was looking for. When I'm in an emergency, what do I do? And this Vibhuti is not just for illness or sickness. Anything. If I'm feeling low, I'm feeling angry, feeling upset, Vibhuti. My technique that I use is I go and cry. When I'm desperate and I need Swami to answer, I just go in front of Swami's photograph and I cry like hell. I just break down and I cry and I tell, Swami, I'm not going to ask you anything because you know everything, but I'm feeling very sad, so I'm crying, Swami, I'm crying, and that's it. You know what? Swami's love for me is so intense, so immense, he can't see me crying. He'll come to wipe out 1,000,000 tears. Swami says, shed one tear for me, I'll wipe out 1,000 tears. Just make sure that your precious tears are not shed for anybody or anything else other than Swami. That is my desperate. When I get desperate, I just go and cry to Swami and he does something amazing. So thank you. Anybody else would like to share or shall I go ahead? Yeah. Great. So I don't know how we are doing on time, but let me preface this question that I want to ask with another small little dream experience. I had a dream in which Swami was sitting on a large bed in a bedroom and there were a lot of pages strewn all around him. And when I entered the room, I realized that these were pages from different manuscripts that Swami had written, whether it's Vahinis or letters to devotees, all of that. I knew that in the dream. And I was like wondering, what is Swami doing here? And Swami said, come. I want to teach you how to preserve all these. I said, oh, wow. Because that was the time at Prashant Nilayam, we were thinking of the archive building where we will preserve all of Swami's handwritten things and all that. So Swami said, I want to teach you how to preserve this. I said, who better than Swami to teach? And then when I'm all alert, waiting to see how to preserve it, Swami picks up one crumpling piece of paper and he does that. And this crumpled, but that page powdered in his hand because it was so brittle. And I was like, oh, Swami, you're destroying it. You're not preserving it. And then he powders it and puts that powder into his mouth and starts chewing it. It's like now it's damaged beyond salvation. You can't salvage it anymore. He chews it and swallows it and says, this is the only way you can preserve my legacy. And when I woke up, the message couldn't have been clearer. You can't preserve or you can't keep my legacy by preserving papers and, things like that, material things. You have to chew upon my teachings. swallow it and digest it, and assimilate it. It should become part of you. Then only you will be able to preserve my legacy. So my next question would be this: how do you assimilate? How do you imbibe Swami's teachings into daily life? What does it practically mean when Swami metaphorically crushes a piece of paper and says, do this? So how would you do that? That would be my question to all of you.
I can go for that.
Yeah.
I think Swami always says, or even like anyone who has had interviews with Swami, they always say Swami speaks Swami speaks very softly and lovingly. So that is something that I try and do it no matter where I go, whether at home or at work, because even at home, so my parents never raised their voice, or fighting is nothing, like it never happened in our family. So it's always, if you want to say something, say it nicely and softly, so that you kind of you get the message. So that is something that I have been following, and through Swami's messages, I've been like following that. So on my day-to-day life, so yeah, speaking softly and lovingly is something that I have taken it as part of my as part of Swami's teaching in my life.
I just wanted to add something. I think we were discussing this in our pre-discussion, sealing on desires. I don't know about some people, but sometimes I have a clothes shopping addiction, or I like ordering a lot of things online, especially nowadays you can just do it on your phone. And for me, it was just cutting down on those possessions. It's just materialistic goods. And that was for me a big thing, because I know during SSC, we always got taught, sealing on desires, only buy what you need, not what you want. Too much of anything is bad. And that's one thing that I've been trying to implement on my life, just cutting down stuff I don't need. If I go into a shop and I go for one thing, I'm trying not to come out with 10 things, even though it's quite hard. But sealing on desires, I feel like everyone can relate to that. I'm pretty sure everyone has their own thing that sometimes they buy too much of, or watch too much of, or do too much of. So yeah, one thing is sealing on desires, which is what I implement in my life.
I think for me, selfless service can come in, all different forms. And I think taking part in organized service activities is really, really important. So things like the food run, bhajan singing, for old people, etc. They're all really important. But I think even if you don't have the time or don't have the opportunities to do those things, I think you can build in a attitude of selfless service and sacrifice in your daily life. So for me, I'm a solicitor, work in an office far too many hours of the day. And I try and bring that same kind of mentality to my everyday life. And one of the experiences I had as a trainee solicitor in my first 6 months, fresh out of law school, I was allocated to a supervisor who had a terrible reputation of just being horrendous to work with. She would make apparently grown men cry. And so there I was as a 22-year-old kind of, shaking in my boots. And throughout those 6 months, I had a fair few experiences like Bro.Aravinth of crying in front of Swami's picture. But I decided that the way I was going to get through that is whatever she did or however she behaved, I was going to do the best that I could in the job that I was doing. And I would I would try and be as nice as I could to her. So if she would tell me off for typing too loudly, I would ignore that, stop typing, and try and kind of counteract that with being nice to her. So I remember there was one occasion where we were both eating our lunch at our desk. I finished my lunch, and I was going to go to the bin to put my rubbish away. And I said to her, do you want me to take your rubbish as well? And she looked at me and was incredibly surprised that someone was even asking her that question. And I just took that same attitude throughout the 6 months, just do the best that I could, exceed her expectations and then, leave that department and never look back. And, actually we ended up having quite a good relationship at the end of those 6 months. She was very supportive of me, but that's the only way I got through it, with Swami's strength and trying to do the best that I could. So yeah, I think you can, no matter what your kind of job is, your day-to-day life is, you can always bring an element of sacrifice and service to it, and I think you'll find it really rewarding, not only mentally, but also you'll find that you're successful in it as well.
Yeah.
So one thing I've noticed is Swami himself lived by example. Just by looking at his actions, there were many instances when I used to read books of Swami, which were more the story kind of books rather than discourses, like Loving God or Satyam Shivam Sundaram, which is his story itself. And through very tiny instances that I read in the books or on YouTube, is those are things that have brought up more change in how I inculcate Swami's teachings, more than someone being very dogmatic about it to me. And one of the stories that I heard from someone was when Swami used to enter the interview room, he used to switch on the light and the fan switch at the same time. And people there were kind of curious, why is that happening? It's just like 3 seconds, you switch on one and the other, which is what we all usually do. And Swami said, when I switch on the light first and then the fan 3 seconds later, the light is simply running for 3 seconds, and that's a waste. If I do it the reverse, then the fan, switch on the fan first and then the light, then the fan is being wasted. And that got me thinking, Swami, who's in fact the creator of everything, he can create energy. If he himself is so particular about 3 seconds of energy being wasted, then that's when I started analyzing my own sustainability initiatives and how I am bringing it into my life. So it started off with very small things like how can I reduce plastic, how can I use reusable water bottles or reusable coffee cups. So I think just looking at Swami, he teaches me how to act many a times. And the other thing, as a kid, when growing up, when I used to go for darshans, which was once a year during my summer break, I used to notice that Swami had so much on his plate. Like if you just see him as a human, he had so much on his plate. And still, when he spoke to people, he would be so kind. Even like sometimes when I have too much on my things to do list, I get very flustered and, I usually take it out on someone. But just looking at him and how even if he gave someone 30 seconds, he made sure that that person went away feeling very special for the 30 seconds of time he gave them. So that's something I try to bring in my own work life, where if anyone needs help, but I'm already having too much of help, trying to be very kind with them. Sorry, I can't help you right now, but I could help you later. Just trying to bring that awareness that, a kind word can go a very long way. So that's two of the things that I try to inculcate.
Thank you both, Sister Janki and Sister Madhuri. What you have shared is something very practical, and it's easy to recall and tell it later, but while doing it, it must have taken a lot of difficulty and effort. So congratulations for that, and I think it's something that I really get inspired with, because some of the things that you said have touched me somewhere as to, oh God, this is such a thing that can be done, but I don't do it. Very inspiring. So thank you. Anything else, Sister Hanita or Brother Mayur? Volume. Yeah.
Similar to what Janki Ben said about her boss still being kind to her. An easy way to do that is to try to see Baba in everyone. Some people, they don't remind us of Baba. We think of something complete opposite. But if we keep thinking of Baba in everyone, then every time we meet someone, we'll meet them with a smile, we'll treat them with love. And I think that's the easy way to go about this as well.
And just to add to what Brother Mayur said, so we've always heard, like, see Swami in people, see Swami in this person, that person. But honestly, it is very hard. We have to accept that. It's very hard to see Swami in someone. So once we were just all the YAs having a discussion with our YA advisor, like, how do we see Swami in everyone? So he said, okay, let's start with simple steps. So if you can't see Swami, like if I can't see Swami in Sister Shalini because she's troubling me a lot, I try to imagine Swami standing next to her. And you know, although I don't think she's Swami, but just having the awareness that Swami is standing right next to her will probably change the way that I look at her. Maybe not with so much of hatred, but with a little more love.
Yeah, I mean, even if I can't see Swami in the person, I at least bring Swami in the presence there. So in Swami's presence, yeah, we know how in Swami's presence even a cat, dog and rat sat next to each other. So yeah, enemies also become friends in Swami's presence. So I think we are running out of time. The discussion is so beautiful. Maybe we can conclude with each of you quickly giving a few points as your takeaways from this panel discussion, or your concluding thoughts on this theme of connecting to Swami. With that, we will offer this to Swami.
So thank you all for listening to us and giving us this time. Sorry we're not as qualified as Bhai to be speaking with you, but I hope you enjoyed it. Just some takeaway points. So all the great sadhanas that we've tried to talk about: meditation, seeing God in everyone, seeing metaphors in life, keeping Baba's picture close to us. Yeah, I think if we could take away even one thing from today, try to implement it or change our life, definitely. Thank you.
Yeah, I think for me it will be trying to build in a little bit more discipline. So some of the practices that some of my sisters here in Mayo have shared, trying to kind of build that in a more regular way, you know, perhaps at the same time every morning, will definitely help me. So thank you for sharing those.
Thanks for listening, everyone. One thing I took away was I personally haven't been to the centre for a while, and I know sometimes my dad says, you know, are you still praying? Are you still doing this? Are you still doing that? I personally believe what I've taken away is in your daily life, you can always connect with Swami, whether you're here, whether you're around people that believe in Swami, you can still connect yourself. And I really like the fact that Hanita was speaking about yoga, different types of meditation. That's one thing I might implement in my daily life as well. So that's one thing I took away, and thank you for listening.
I think likewise, when Sister Hanita mentioned about meditation, I remembered a few years back I was really trying to meditate, like it would be maybe 5 minutes, but and I remember the sense of calm that it brought me, and especially in the last few months, I'm wrapping up my PhD very shortly, and I'm always short on time. I've always, you know, been trying to multitask, like when I'm doing something, trying to pray. But I think when I used to meditate, I realized the power of silence, like even though I was not practicing a very guided meditation, but just sitting in silence, and they say it is only in silence that the voice of God is heard. I think that's something I would like to take away from today's panel, just even if it's for 5 to 10 minutes a day, put aside my to-do list and just sit silently, so it's just me and Swami.
I think mine will be listening more to Swami's discourses from now on, rather than just doing a research and just listening to it halfway through. Probably spend some more time listening to Swami's discourses. So that's my takeaway.
It's been so nice to make new friends and to be part of this panel, and I feel like life has gone for me from 0 to 100 with your visit, Aravinth. It's like this moment for me is very important. I just feel like there's so much to take away from everyone. Youth can inspire youth. So if there are youth in the audience, I hope there's something here that you've heard that will, you know, inspire you to take action. I know I've heard a lot that I'm just like kind of overwhelmed actually. So thank you for coming over, and thank you everyone for being part of the panel, and thank you for listening.
In conclusion, Swami had said to one of my classmates in an interview, I will not go into the entire story, but he had just said, remember, if anybody offers their youth to me, they will have their right to demand from me any time in their life. That's the guarantee that Swami has said. So as youth, we have this great opportunity of making the greatest ever investment in life, and we should be grateful to Swami for this opportunity, because once having given this youth to him, he stands by. And I know this with personal experience. I told that I connect to Swami by crying out to him. One such instance was when this only happened. I cried out and I said, Swami, how can I be in this situation, Swami? You said that if I give my youth to you, I have the right to demand from you. Swami, till now I have not done, now I am demanding. Come, Swami, I want. I want now. Can you come? I was angry, I was upset, I was sad. And I said this to him. Dear brothers and sisters, 5 hours was all it took him. 5 hours. Comprehensively solved that problem, covered it up, everything done. And I was crying there telling him, what did you do? I am demanding. 5 hours later, I was crying and telling Swami, what you are, Swami? Why do you love me so much? What you are? So when he says that you give his end of the deal 100% without fail, every time he'll keep. And he does that even if we don't keep up 100%. So let us try, it's amazing. These are all youth I really feel are worthy of emulation. Lucky in the sense, some may think it's unlucky in the sense that it's come at a time when Swami is physically not there. But Swami is beyond time. What is important is our time in life. We have been able to come to Swami at our time in life when we can make the best investment. This is a time when we choose where to invest our time, energy, resources. And at this time we have got the opportunity. So grateful to you, Swami, and thank you all of you for sharing such beautiful thoughts. I'm going away very inspired and happy, and I'm sure everyone too is. So once again, thank you all of you. Jai Sai Ram.